This is Rock with Sambongo. Extinction. And I got a couple of new tricks, a couple of new things I'm going to show us. Should be a pretty sound viewing or episode of guitar playing. I hope you can hear me. But, of course, we're mostly here to play the guitar. That's what we want to do. And so I'm going to switch a few guitars around, try a few things out, and I won't bother the mind too much. I'm going to play with the senses. Let's go. It's time to go extinct. Subtlest of technical difficulties, they can make some of the most fun ones, I believe. Okay, so I believe I got a first little check of the guitar out of the way. So what I got going on here is this is Fender, the wondrous, most wondrous Fender. And you know what? Let me just run the actual app to allow it to solely shine. Please enjoy the sound of rain in the meantime. It's really weird. I can't really tell you what those technical difficulties are about. Oh, we're going extinct here. Okay, let me see. Okay, so we're not gonna use that version, apparently. Alright. So this is Fenrir. And what we have are during certain uses of the amp heads, dark rhythms and core rhythms and dark leads. I'm going to change a couple of the guitars and see if we can make the same sound of Fenrir with Fenrir as we do with our Spider Jam and the original Rock with Sambongos. And so I'm not going to waste your time. Let's just try the dark rhythms. And perhaps we should carve it up. Let's see what we can do. Bad for the dark rhythms. I like it. Let's see what we can make with the dark leads to match it. So I think that those leads are pretty nice. Now, I figured this would have been a more rhythm-heavy cabinet, or a cabinet simulator, and it turns out I think it can nail the leads pretty well. So I'm going to try bringing those rhythms and leads together with a bit of blues style. and it might involve a bit of finger picking. Hopefully I won't go too quick and ruin it with some experimental practice. But this is the Extinction of Sambongo. Rock the Sambongo sequel. So, we're moving along quite quickly. We're kicking time and time again. I'm gonna take a quick detour over to one of the other guitars in my collection. This is a quick moment break for our ears. If you know anybody right now currently struggling with drugs or addiction, take a solemn moment, harness your emotional contempts and fears towards the culture that is negative, put a tamer on it, and give us a solid moment and say, I still love you. That's what you gotta do. Because it's not an easy life out there for them, and there's not enough ways to say it. And that's what they're trying to do. So, of course, with the memories of this very guitar, wherever they are out in the world, if there's other problems and they aren't struggling with that, be more to them emotionally, mentally, and let's work together to make a happy life for everyone. There's no reason for anyone to fall off into a pool of negativity that someone else created. Never. So, if that's the least we can do, let's play some guitar. I think that was a nice thing. But I'm gonna put this down. That's right, I'm gonna give you the power to do something about it. I'm not gonna play that guitar, I'm gonna play this guitar. Alright. Oh yeah, hear that? Sambongo! Extinction! 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 Okay, so I think Fender is a pretty amazing amp set. It sounds like the mighty wolf god of the Viking times. I don't know exactly if it has too much to do with that when they're making it, but I can definitely hear the guitar distortion pop. And it sounds like it's keeping up as good as the regular cabinet that I got. And it's a Simberg there for $60. $60, that's a great deal. Sorry for the almost life here, but generationally speaking, we're on to these $60 amp sims that are pretty great, rather than this like $600 to $700 cabinet that I had to like go on a payday loan for, basically, back in the day when things were cheaper. Not cheaper. So anyway, let's try and clean this up. Let's take it to the end. And let's end the first episode of Sambongo. Extinction! sun now, and it's taking away the rain today. That's good. I wanted to enjoy my day anyway. And thank you so much for watching The Rock with Sambongo. First ever air episode of this whole new broad spectrum type style. Sorry, I mean the whole setup of my new room here. I think it's going quite well. I play video games in here, and yeah, so I think it's going kind of okay. You know, for my video game channel type thing. And back to the concept, where did I go? So yeah, introducing you to the guitars. This is the C1 Exotic. This is the LTD. I just call it 2 pennies because it only cost me 2 pennies. This is the Gretsch. Which one was it? I can't remember. It's a nice Gretsch. I picked it up for about $600. This is the Fender Stratocaster American made Sunburst edition from, let me see if I can get a year on it. I don't think there's a year on it. Yeah, there's no year on it or anything. But I think it's like a 1970s, late 1960s edition. And then finally, this is the Fender Telecaster Deluxe 1972 edition. Jumbo fret, made in Mexico. That I star headline basically that guitar in my channel series. I love that one. Anyway, I think this was pretty successful, and if you're looking forward to more music, more fun things, check out the other videos and enjoy the rest of your evening, day, and afternoon. Hopefully I didn't conclude the cloud of music that just took place by not explaining any of it. But basically, with the new cabinet sim, Fenrir, we're going to be exploring each and individual ideas of the instruments themselves, giving them a personality, and I believe the consumption of the art form by the personality of each individual tool is going to manifest the greatest idea I've ever had, ever. And so, of course, there will be lots of excitement and lots of fun and lots of hopefully good energy to translate to those who you apparently and maybe do not reach every now and again. And just know that we're thinking about you too, because I don't see anything wrong. No one else has to see anything wrong, and you don't have to see anything wrong. You just gotta try to make yourself better. And surviving is the key element to that, because we need you around in order to have you. So, without further ado, this has been Rock with Sambongo, Extinction, or Season 4. Yeah. Let's wrap this up, eh? We're gonna take a look later on at the reverb pedals, delay pedals, and the chorus effect, the boost pedal, the gate pedal, and I believe this is an EQ MIDI pedal. I'm not really sure. And then of course this is the main cabinet itself. We're going to work out some kinks. I'm brand new to this situation, and maybe what we'll do is we'll pick a sound and we'll work out a recording for it, and we'll play over a backtrack. But until then, this is all you get. It's been fun, guys.